Speaking of Red Bull, great transition. We asked, can Liam Lawson pull together a strong weekend? And, well, if you keep up with anything F1 news related, he certainly did not. And in fact, breaking news, if you're hearing it for the first time here on the Lap Podcast, make sure to subscribe. First off, drop a comment and let us know your reaction to this. TLPs, whether you're fresh to this podcast or not, let us know what your thoughts are on this. Liam Lawson has already, after 2 races with the Red Bull Racing team, been replaced by his former teammate with the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls, Yuki Tsunoda. A lot of fans really thought that he was spurned for this. We both had some mixed opinions on it originally. I still had mixed opinions on it as far as the decision, but I think both drivers had a case to make that leap after last season.
If I may here, Tristan, because I wanted to record a solo. I wanted to record a solo about this because I did feel so strongly about this and I had so many opinions about this, but I did want to save it for the podcast. I want to say 2 things. One, congratulations to Yuki. He's deserved this opportunity for a long time. We talked about it a lot last year where, hey,
100%.
Look, Yuki should absolutely be at least in the part of the decision-making for this final Red Bull seat. So 1, congratulations, Yuki. You deserve this opportunity. 2, this is another abominable decision-making process by Red Bull. You give no notice to Lawson. He finds out through the internet.
Yeah, apparently he found out through social media.
And you give him only 2 races to the side. That's not fair to anybody. That's especially not fair to a rookie driver. That's not fair to Lawson at all. So it's a mixed opinion between you
Is
want...
he a rookie, though? I'm just kidding.
I get it. But it's not fair to Lawson for him to find out the way he found out. Red Bull has done a terrible job, no matter who's calling those shots, of informing drivers of their future, of informing drivers of what's happening, and keeping up with their decision-making. Other than Max, you never really know what they're going to do. You kept Checo for the entirety of the year, and he was overall screwing you over in points, but you replaced Lawson after 2 races, and a car that even Max said is undrivable. That doesn't seem very fair to me at all. And it never felt like Lawson got a fair shake. And I do want to talk about this because I don't know how true this rumor may or may not be, but I do want to talk about it just in case it is the case. There was a little bit of speculation, and merely just calling it speculation, that the possibility of Franco Colapinto being called in for the V-Carb seat rather than Lawson. And allegedly this has been denied, that Franco is not going to be signed over from Alpine. But if that did happen and Lawson ended out being out of F1 in its entirety, that would just be a complete shame. A complete shame. Now, like I said, I don't know the possibilities of that. I don't think that's going to end up happening. But the possibility of that even happening was sad. And this is a really sad situation for Liam. He doesn't deserve this quick of a decision-making. He's shown to be a very competitive, a very trustworthy driver in the past. 2 races is not enough time for anybody to show anything at all. It hasn't. That's just not fair. And even like I said, Max said the car's undrivable. And I think this is another good time to bring up what Alex Albon said about that car. And I'll pull up the video, or I'll pull up the post now. But look, we can go through and we can look at the list of drivers that...
Oh, wrong one.
Yeah, here we go. This is the list of drivers that Max has drove aside during his time at Red Bull. Look at all of these drivers, man. Look at all these differences. And Alex Albon spoke on this a little bit of time ago, speaking on, well, yeah, Red Bull really do tool the car to Max's specifications. And we spoke on it a little bit last week as well. It's like, okay, is this car going to be drivable for anybody? Or is this going to be, hey, this is going to be Max dominating, and we're hoping the Max wins the Drivers' Championship year in, year out. We don't really care about the constructors. We want Max to be the best driver that there's ever been. That seemingly is their goal. And if that's the case, then, hey, don't go in and replace drivers after 2 races because you know that car is only designed for Max. That's not fair at all. So I think the fact that Albon spoke on this, someone that has been in that seat under that same pressure next to Max, and now Yuki's going in here. Yuki, you've got a lot of expectations to live up to, but I'm happy that you're getting the seat. Thank you for letting me talk about that. I've literally had that brewing on for a while, but this sucks for Liam. I'm excited for Yuki. We'll see what happens for Red Bull.
I think you share a lot of the same sentiment as I do, which is, yeah, I mean, it's a very like harsh decision. Red Bull are also known for making those types of decisions.
Helmut Marko doesn't believe in crying. Remember that.
Hey, but Isaac Hadjar still has his seat. Look, we're going to learn a few things with this. And most notably, what we're going to learn is it the driver or is it the car? Because as we've detailed here over the last couple episodes, there are real questions as far as the car performance. Max Verstappen has been very vocal about the car performance being almost undrivable. You do have to kind of tailor a car that can work for both of your drivers, or at least be drivable within a bigger spectrum. And Red Bull, you pointed it out, and you've talked about this. I've talked about this. Alex Albon has that very notorious moment talking to, if I'm not mistaken, the High Performance podcast, a little bit of a ways back. It's tough to drive. And if even Max is complaining about how challenging this car is to drive, imagine how hard it must be to be a Liam Lawson. We're going to learn a lot at the Japanese Grand Prix. For Yuki Tsunoda, yeah, I'm incredibly excited for him. He's getting an opportunity to drive with the senior team. He's been trying to get this opportunity since coming into this sport. Let's see, what year did Yuki come in here? I thought I'd written it down. I want to say it was 2021, 2022, something like that. His first season racing for AlphaTauri, now V-Carb, now finally getting that shot. Much to the chagrin, possibly, of a Christian Horner who did not want to give him that opportunity, who did not want to really give him that shot. There was a lot of criticism for the insider feeling of, well, you know, we're keeping Yuki,
but we don't really want
but
to
it's
keep
commercial
Yuki.
and it's because of the Honda partnership. But Yuki has shown the signs of progression over the entire course of his career in Formula One. He's shown a growth when it comes to the maturity side of things. So for him, I'm incredibly excited that he is getting this shot in his home race in Japan. He's worked really hard for this. However, that is also pressure. You're walking into a very volatile, very, very hot seat, right? You've got 2 races in theory to prove yourself, if you're Yuki Tsunoda, that it is in fact the driver and it is not the car. That's the state of play here.
Now, let me pose a question to you, because you know a lot more about these particular things than I do. And you may or may not know this. And if he doesn't, we're just going to cut it out. So, but say that they do bring up Yuki. Well, they are going to bring up Yuki, right?
Because they are doing an actual swap. So we'll get a real comparison.
So we are. So we're going to get a race or two or such. Is it possible if Red Bull was like, hey, you know what, we brought Yuki up for a few races and we're like, we actually do want Lawson back, and they do another swap? Is that a possibility?
So Red Bull have control over all those contracts.
Well, because it's their sister team, yes.
Well, like, no, but quite literally, like, they own the contracts for all 4 of those drivers.
Right.
So it's Visa Cash App Racing Bulls. They're separate teams, but like they're all owned by Red Bull. They are the sister team.
Yes.
So is it possible? Yeah. Is it unprecedented? Probably.
Well, I mean, at this rate, just give 2 races to Isaac Hadjar, give 2 races to Lawson, give 2 races to Yuki, and just swip them all over again. And then we'll just decide on our full-time driver next year.
But I just don't think overall, I think anybody believes that isn't a good philosophy. I think that Yuki I think if the expectation for Yuki really is going to be like, just be better than Lawson, I mean, maybe he could probably place it maybe like 1 or 2 spots higher. You just don't know. Like, this is going to be a really interesting experiment because of the timetable here. It's insane that they dropped him after 2 races. Like, on paper, Alex Albon had double-digit amounts of races. Pierre Gasly had double-digit amounts of races. Everybody else that's driven alongside Max Verstappen has had double digits at the very least opportunity. Pierre Gasly is the only guy, if I'm not mistaken, to have the second least amount of opportunity, and he had like 16 to 18 races.
And not only that, it's 2 races, but one of those races, I'm not saying you can't count it, but on a completely different surface in the middle of pouring rain for the first race of the season. Yes, like, I get it, it does count as a race, but it's not even 2 full real tries at, hey, show us what you got, because everybody talks about in the rain, it levels the playing field, right? You don't know what's going to happen in the rain. But I get it. We can say whatever we want. A rookie driver, nevertheless.
But even guys like Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz, and then all the other rookies not named.
We saw how many crashes there were. Yes. Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, even 2 races, but even then it's like, it wasn't even two like real opportunities to showcase his talent in an opportunity like on real surface, I guess. I'm not saying that it's not a real race, but I think you know what I'm saying. Like the raining obviously adds to the element. I do want to say this,
and I wanted to mention, by the way, like the downside for Yuki Tsunoda, because we've mentioned positives, a little bit of negative, but like he's going to join a long list of Max's teammates that so far have all been dropped or forced out. He's going to join Liam Lawson, the latest in that line alongside Max. Sergio Perez obviously had a lot longer of a tenure. Alex Albon, we've mentioned. Pierre Gasly, we mentioned. Daniel Ricciardo left Red Bull because he wanted the opportunity to potentially go win a championship. Danny's career went the way it went, but even Daniel Kvyat, going back to 2015. It is not easy. In fact, it might even be the tallest task in Formula One to be Max Verstappen's teammate. I'll own it. Like I was incredibly hard on Checo Perez last year. I'm willing to give him a little bit more grace with all this in context now, because if it really is the car, which we might find out at the Japanese Grand Prix, if Yuki Tsunoda can't score points in this car, it's going to do two things. First off, it's going to show A, yes, this car is really hard to drive, but B, Max is insane. For how, like with the skill level to be able to still elevate it to a possible podium.
Well, not only, but okay, but here's the thing to think about too, right? Is if the car is really that hard to drive, then how long is it going to be before Max is like, hey, I actually do want to leave because you can't pair me with anybody and give someone else a good car to compete with me. Like, maybe he only wants to win drivers' championships. I don't know, but I think ideally he would also want to compete for constructors. I don't know.
My pushback on this is that the development's going to just start going in a different direction.
Yeah.
So like they've been trying to tailor this to reach the heights that Max can take it. But at the end of the day, the team is trying to score the most amount of constructor points. It is a team sport.
Of course.
There's the incentives to win are like over $100 million, like $130 million as a team. So Max can still score all the points and be fantastic, and the car is still going to be good. But overall, you want to build the best overall car. You want to build a car that's going to get you the most amount of points. Max Verstappen on his best weekend right now can only get you 25 points.
Yeah.
If you're only scoring 25, that's not going to be enough to win a constructors.
No.
It might be enough to win you a drivers by yourself.
Right.
But it's not a guarantee.
And that's what I'm
certainly
saying.
not a guarantee.
But that's what I'm saying. Do
so
you think
the car will probably regress a little bit away from Max, but it could even up to the next driver. But that's where the cost deficit comes in too.
That's what I'm saying.
Is the car now hovering around P3 on speed, P4 with Ferrari, depending on the weekend, and then immediately becomes the immediate P4 if it drops off on quality.
But do you think that frustration will build for Max to the point where he's like, okay, I'm going to leave Red Bull because they won't give me a legit teammate to actually compete with?
I think, look, let's be completely honest and fair here. Max is an ultimate competitor. He's not so much concerned with his teammates if he's winning.
That's what I'm saying.
So, like, if he can win, admittedly, he's going to look at his teammates and go, look, like, y'all got to pick it up. There was something interesting in that same interview we've cited from Alex Albon. Alex Albon said that part of his selling point to getting into a Williams, for instance, was his ability to go, look, I kept track of this when Max was driving a car that was like P3, right? Like it wasn't winning every weekend during the last regulation set. He was only like, I think 2 to 3 tenths behind him consistently, but the drop off between that third place car to fourth place car to a winning car was like, if you're 2 to 3 tenths back, you're P12, right? But when Max was dominating the field, his selling point was, look, but the lap times, I was still closer to Max. If the car was as fast as it was, like I could have been putting up podiums consistently the way that Checo's putting up P5s. So like that's the way that like Alex Albon sold himself to other teams, and obviously he's already had a pretty decently long career. If the car isn't winning, yeah, like this is kind of the result that we're seeing come to fruition, where teammates who are not quite at that level, like if you have a more mid-level driver, let's just be completely honest here, like if that's where Liam Lawson is right now, ending up in P15, P16, P14 is maybe not as surprising, because Max's ability and what he likes out of a car and the way that it's tailored to him versus the way that other drivers have to drive that car. Yeah, the results are probably going to vary widely. If it's not Max winning by 20 seconds, I get a P3 and I'm within 10 seconds of the next guy.
All right, so let's end the Red Bull discussion storyline on this question, and I'll ask you and then I'll give my opinion.
Yeah, and please, again, let us know, TLPs, in the
Yes.
comments, like your thoughts on this. If there's a lot of nuance to this debate, we really want to hear what you guys have to say.
Oh, for sure, for sure. What is a good first weekend for Yuki Tsunoda look like in Japan?
With the context of how tough that car might be, I would say P10 is a great weekend. Like if he hits a P10, I feel like we've learned something here. Like, okay, if he gets higher than that, I mean, it tells us a lot. It tells us for sure that it was a Lawson issue. But if Lawson is outperforming Yuki inversely, right, the way that Yuki and Hadjar had been outperforming Lawson in the V carbs compared to the Red Bull, yeah, like maybe it is going to be a car issue. You know, like everything relies on the context. You know, we have to just see it. We could do the what if game. If Yuki scores P5, I mean, yeah, we could probably point at Lawson, and Lawson maybe just is more comfortable driving the V carb, and maybe it suits his driving style a little bit better. Maybe there's just a easier threshold to drive that car. There's a lot of questions we're still going to have no matter what up until we see some results. I would want to give it at least a couple races, maybe even 3 races, because across, you know, those 2 weekends, we saw 3 different formats. We'll have to see what Yuki can do. But if Yuki can put up points, I don't see why Red Bull are going to swap him back.
I agree wholeheartedly. You get in the points if you're Yuki Tsunoda, you're already off to a better start than Lawson, obviously, but you're going to get the advantage of driving at your home race. You put up points, you get off to a good start. You combat that with another points finish and another points finish. I'll tell you this much. If Yuki can get 2 points finishes out of the next 3 races,
he's got the seat.
He's got the seat for the remainder of the year.
Hell, I wouldn't even be shocked if they start talking about extending his contract, because the big question we had for Yuki Tsunoda walking into this season, if you have watched our preseason podcast, was how does he get to prove himself?
Mm-hmm.
How does he stay on the grid in 2026 with the new regulations? His contract is up after this season.
This is how you do it.
This is a prove it moment for Yuki on so many different levels. I know there's a lot of pressure. We've talked at length about the pressure that was applied to Liam Lawson. Yuki Tsunoda, if he walks in relaxed, kicks ass, this is going to be his seat. And I'm excited for him. I really am. And I'm really curious to see, again, just up and down. Max Verstappen, what does he do in Japan? Yuki Tsunoda, what does he do in Japan? Liam Lawson, we're going to find out a lot about him. Isaac Hadjar, we're going to find out a lot about him. There's going to be a lot that we're going to find out just within this little unit of 4. I'm really excited for it. And we're going to obviously talk about it a lot more on the next episode as we walk into Japan. We're probably going to get a little bit more information out of this situation.